I'm going to call the meeting, this is Commissioner Wagner, I'm going to call the meeting of the Environmental Concerns Commission to order, and I'm going to say it's 7:08. And Commissioner Draconis, could you call off the roll, please?
Robert Wagner,
Here?
Mr. Amore,
Present.
Marianne Greco,
Here.
Sandra Hill,
Here.
Alan Leishman,
Here.
Lynn Smith,
Here.
Ivan Figueroa.
Here.
Is that right?
Figueroa.
Figueroa. I have that spelled, okay. Okay.
Okay, and we've established that we have a quorum. So I'm going to move on to item 2, public comments on agenda items. And I believe I sent out an email. We have a resident here, Tom King, and he's here to talk about the village's lead service line policy.
Yeah, take.
please.
Yeah, we want
Yeah,
you to
we're-
sit
Oh,
at the
for
table.
sure.
Tom, so we're recording, we have to record the meeting, so if you wanna kind of just project, I know you will.
The speaker is on the phone? Okay.
No, it's right there, little
Okay.
recording device.
So, yeah, thank you, first of all, for allowing me to speak tonight, and it's a pleasure to meet all of you. I moved to Villa Park in 2008, so served on Parks and Rec and now the Video Production Commission. What I wanted to speak tonight about is lead service lines that feed or supply water to residents' homes. So my wife and I and my 2 boys live at 546 South Ardmore. It's an old Georgian home built in the Great Depression, built in 1935. And last summer we found out that we had a lead service pipe. We always suspected it was a lead service pipe, but last summer when we had our sprinkler system put in for our lawn and gardens, the plumber that made the connection confirmed. He's like, hey, you do have a lead service pipe feeding your house. And, I previous to that, I've always had the water tested that's bringing water to our home. And now that a plumber, since last summer when a plumber did confirm it was a lead service pipe, my wife and I took action to replace it. And I noticed, and that's in March of 2024, and I believe Commissioner Wagner forwarded you the letter that I presented the village board in March of 2024, where we petitioned for a lead service pipe replacement program for the village. Many municipalities around us, Lombard, Elmhurst, Itasca, Chicago, Glen Ellen, Naperville, Bensonville, they all have replacement programs, and that's I've included in the March letter. I included as much data as I could find on replacement programs. Villa Park, to my knowledge, still does not have such a program. Maybe one is in the works. I'm not sure. But we went ahead and worked with Public Works to get ours replaced, and that was replaced in April of this year. Subsequently, I sent a letter to all of you on August 24th. I believe Commissioner Wagner also forwarded that to you. Again, saying that we believe that we need a program in this community for residents to replace their lead service lines. I included pictures of what our old lead service line looked like. 2 characteristics: there's a packing bulb at the end of it where the finning is, and then this part here you can see I scratched with a nickel. And you can see it's bright and shiny. That's very characteristic of a lead service pipe. And also it was non-magnetic. And also I had, when I went out for bids to get it replaced, I had about 5 licensed plumbers come in the home, and they all confirmed that you do have a lead service pipe. So I also included a table showing the testing that we did before and after replacement of the lead service pipe. So before before we replaced it, I had it tested in 2019, 2021, and 2023. The test in 2019, the limit of detection was 6 parts per billion, or ppb, so it didn't show up. But in 2020, I gather the lab that I used, which is EPA certified, improved its instrumentation where they could detect down to 1 part per billion of lead. And the 2 subsequent tests in 2021 and 2023 were both showed samples that were 1.8 and 1.4 ppb of lead in our drinking water. Then we had the lead service pipe replaced in April of this year, and this is the good news, is that after replacing it, I had the water tested 2 times this year, at the end of April and at the beginning of August, and both of those, all 4 of those samples, there's 2 samples coming in the test kit, all 4 of those came back non-detectable. So in our case, it was a positive sign. I don't have to freak out when my son fills up his water bottle from the faucet anymore and tell him he's got to, fill it up from the filtered water in the fridge. But so there's no, based on the recent samples we had, the lead was eliminated from our drinking water. I think that the educated, the public in our community needs to be educated about what a lead service pipe looks like, what are the characteristics of it. And Glen Ellen has a nice website that has pictures, and you can inventory your own lead service pipe if you do believe it is, or you can call the city up and have them come out to your house and look, and they can tell you if it is indeed a lead service pipe. And also, I think looking at the inventory that's on the website for lead service pipes feeding our community, this is the Illinois EPA document. Only 11% do we know for sure what is actually, what the material is. The other 89%, we have no idea what people have bringing water to their homes. I think that we need a more rigorous inventory of what lead or water service line material is bringing water to homes. And, that's a big job, but I think it needs to be done. Also the specifics of the replacement program, I think that, I petition you guys, I think that, it was difficult working out the mechanics of how the lead service pipe got replaced with the Village of Villa Park, and if there were set guidelines or a document or rules of what the village would pay for, what the resident pays for, that would be extremely useful. Like we actually had to upgrade the village's part of the water, bringing our water to our home. And the reason we had to do that is because the plumbing contractor wasn't willing to upgrade just the resident portion. The village-owned portion was, even though it was copper, it was 3/4 inch, and we needed to upsize the whole thing to 1 inch to be compliant with the Village of Villa Park code. And the village wasn't willing to replace that portion from the water main to the B box because it was copper. And so my wife and I were kind of stuck. We were like, well, we want to get rid of the lead service pipe. It looks like we got to upgrade the whole thing and pay for the village's portion of it as well. So it was kind of a surprise to us because there was really no guidelines of what the village would pay for or would do for us versus not. So, but I think we really do need a program, a better, more rigorous inventory of what pipes are that bring water to folks' homes, and also we need to educate the community more effectively about what dangers of lead pipe bringing water to their homes and what they look like.
Can I ask you what the cost was?
We spent, all said and done, we spent $16,000.
How much?
16. That includes, so it was $8,000 to replace our portion, another $4,000 to replace the village's portion, and then the cosmetic repairs, to our basement. And the tile was busted up and paint.
Yeah. Did you get to keep the copper pipe they replaced so you could sell it? Recoup some of your cost?
The old pipe, the old lead pipe, and I don't know if they did the copper pipe, but the village's part was this long because the water meter goes through our parkway.
Oh.
And the old pipe, actually, they just leave in the ground.
Ah, okay.
And that's, you know, you can do that. They don't have to excavate it. Lead comes out of the ground anyway. So.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
What was the logic behind replacing that copper piece?
So it was 3/4 inch copper, and per the village code, if it was replaced, if the line bringing water to our home, it has to be 1 inch minimum per Villa Park code. State code is 3/4. The Villa Park has a special code on top of that. It has to be 1 inch minimum. Also, you know, the water demand to our home, it was built in 1935. Improvements have been made. We added a bathroom, the sprinkler system, of
Yeah, there's
course.
an additional, so I'm familiar with your house.
So there was additional water demand on the home as well. So we had to upsize it to 1 inch, and to me, it didn't make sense to go from the main to 3/4 to 1 inch.
Right.
And,
For sure.
and so we just made 1 inch all the way.
Tom, can I ask you,
Sure.
what lab did you use to test the water?
So I used a lab in Indiana, Safe Home, or it says on the letter here. I got the kit off of Amazon. Environmental Laboratories Incorporated in Madison, Indiana. You can have this if you want.
Okay. And what was the cost for the testing?
So you get 2 sample vials, and the whole kit is $90.
And how long did it take you to get a result?
A couple weeks, 2
Couple
weeks.
weeks, okay.
Yes.
This is Commissioner Smith question. So did you use the same lab for all the testing, the before and after?
Yeah, the table that is on the letter that you should have received from Bob, that's, all that data is from this lab.
And then, so prior to collecting your test from your faucet, I'm sure you read like the instructions and did the flushing and all of that, okay.
Yeah, I just followed the instructions. There's 2 ways you could test it. You could do the flush, or you could do more of a static type test. I did the flush.
Okay.
And I had one question. Commissioner Murray, what year did you think that the house was built?
1935.
35.
We've got a plaque in our entryway that says Villa Park 1935, and also the title when we closed on the home said 1935, so I believe that.
Well, I appreciate you bringing this to attention. Once we get to the business portion of the meeting, I was going to propose an amendment to the agenda because this is on our agenda item toward the back of the meeting. I was going to propose an amendment to the agenda to bring it up to the front so that you could participate and see the fruit of your labor of coming in and bringing it to our attention.
Tom, we appreciate you coming, and I hope you'll stay, because it sounds like we're gonna amend the agenda to move discussion of lead service lines up.
Yep.
Okay, I will move on to item 3, amendments to the agenda. Are there any amendments to the agenda? Commissioner Amore.
Commissioner Moore, I'd like to propose amending the agenda to move item 5F, discussion of village's lead service line policy up toward the beginning of our business
Okay.
attention.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Smith. Okay, any discussion? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor of moving item F to the top of the business agenda, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. We will make that change. Okay, I'm gonna move on to any other amendments. Okay? I'm gonna move on to the consent agenda, approval of the August 22nd, 2024 meeting minutes. Is there a motion? Commissioner Leachman.
I move to approve those minutes.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Commissioner Hill. Okay, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the August 22nd, 2024 meeting minutes, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, meeting minutes are approved. Okay, we're gonna move on to our business portion. So the first item on our business is discussion of the village's lead service line policy. And I had a very brief discussion with Commissioner Smith because she has some information about lead service lines and works for a engineering firm that deals with this. And I will just mention that I attended last week, I attended the Illinois Association of Wastewater Agencies Conference. And there were, one of the speakers, or two speakers, were from the Illinois EPA, the Finance Authority. They manage the state revolving fund. The state revolving fund helps communities that have different projects, like replacing lead service lines, to obtain low-interest loans to handle those projects. So the speaker talked about that and talked a lot about lead service lines, and also mentioned that that there's a lot of funding available. There are grant opportunities besides low-interest loans, and also some funding. I don't remember what the name of the legislation was, that the big infrastructure bill, there's money available through that program. We had talked about this at a couple preceding meetings, and just to remark that other communities have a very kind of robust amount of information, a webpage that has a lot of information about how to identify a lead service line. Some have contacts with different labs where you can send out samples. Some communities advertise or promote the fact that they do offer low-interest loans. So in preparation for the meeting, and maybe our staff liaison can help me identify this, I found this document. It's a lead service replacement project. And I don't know there's no date on that, but it lists Richard Keener as the manager. I made a couple other copies, you can pass that around. I found that in the document center. And obviously, it doesn't look like that the project will cost an estimated $4 million. Doesn't sound like this project ever got off, or we ever got funding for this. Does this look, I know I'm putting you on the spot here, but.
But we are obligated to replace every lead service on our capital improvement projects, obviously. And that's what we do. We do have a lead service inventory. It's kind of like work in progress. It's not 100%, but we have an idea which streets have the majority of, still a lot of lead services. It's in our internal GIS. It's not, unfortunately, available for public view. But the village is not obligated by EPA to replace the residence portion of the service, though. So as far as I know, we are only obligated to notify the resident and kind of bring it to their attention. And the village usually replace the portion from the main to the B box.
One comment that I heard during the conference from the person from the IEPA is that if you have unknowns, and like we have a large number of unknowns in the village, that they consider those unknown to be, until identified, lead service lines. That's how they approach it.
And that is correct.
Well, I mean, certain areas of the village was constructed in the sixties, for instance. They're copper for sure. You know, I mean, it's primarily older houses, so I guess there is a logic, yeah, to it, I suppose.
Yeah, I guess, this is Commissioner Smith. The thing is having that, at least to start, a complete inventory, because right now, if it's only like 11%, and then you have the other 89%, then the default is, because if you don't know, yes or no, then you have to default to no until you have the information. So right now, there are residents who are living with a question mark, right, regarding that. And I guess the thing is, like, our neighboring villages have been able to provide that information. So we're just saying, what can we do to start moving the needle forward and making progress on having that inventory and seeing what resources are available and updating our website and then communicating that so residents
They
can
wish-
know what is included, what's not, what are the resources, so they can plan for what their out-of-pocket is going to have to be. And to, we all drink water, right? You want to know if the water coming out of your faucet is problematic or not.
So how we gather the information is we have a plumbing inspector. Whenever he goes inside any house, he checks for lead service. And we have a meter replacement, or not necessarily replacement, a meter person, water meter person. Whenever he gets inside the house to check for if there's a problem with the meter or meter replacement, he gathers that information also.
So it's more of a kind of reactive instead of proactive program.
Yeah, it's very hard to
Yeah.
dedicate a person and arrange it, I guess, with.
So I'm gonna guess this is like 2018, I'm gonna guess that was,
I really don't know what it is.
yeah, I couldn't find a date on it anywhere.
It says last print, oh no, that's, I don't know.
It is printed in 21. You're right.
Oh, 2021, okay.
So can the commission advocate to have information available to the residents on the website? Saying, if you're having any plumbing work, make sure you get the inspector out and he can check.
I'm sure we have something on the website. Unfortunately, I'm sorry, I'm kind of unprepared.
Yeah, so, this is Commissioner Wagner, the only thing I could find on the website, I found this in the document center, but the only thing that's on the website is the inventory. That's the only thing I could
Yeah.
find. There's no other information on the website. I had a very brief conversation with Commissioner Smith today. And just because we've been talking about this issue, I kind of put together some things that I thought would be possibly good to recommend to the village board, and I can pass this around. These are I just kind of brainstormed. So, and I don't know if Commissioner Smith wants to say anything, but the first one is pursue federal and state grants. I'm sorry, well, wait till everyone
There's more
has
than
this.
one. There's not one of these.
You're good.
Joe, do you have?
No,
Here, pass
Thank
that
you.
down.
The first one is to pursue federal and state grants to aid with resident lead service line replacement. Because there is a lot of money out there that could be possibly obtained. Now, there are programs, I'm trying to remember the name of it, small community. We actually qualify as a small community, but you have to have a certain economic level in your community. So I feel we don't maybe meet that, but there are other opportunities to pursue grants. Educate residents on how to obtain low-interest loans through the IEPA State Revolving Fund. I'm not sure if that's already in place.
It is.
It is in
We
place, okay.
routinely get loans for water main replacements, yes.
Okay. And could residents make use of this to replace lead service lines? No. Okay. Typically, when you go for the state revolving fund, don't you have to identify a funding source? Don't you have to say, okay, we're going to repay this loan by, I don't know, increasing water rates or something?
I don't know.
Okay.
Sorry.
The other thing I put on here, Commissioner, I'm sorry, did you?
Oh, no, go ahead and then I'll comment.
Provide information for local laboratories that can provide testing for lead in water. So, a resident here has offered one, I think Lombard has a couple labs locally that you can send in samples to. Just having a web page to do the basics, like how do you check for lead service line? Scratch it with a coin. If it's a shiny surface, if it's non-magnetic, then chances are it's lead. And then a simple how to check tutorial for.
Or you can just try bending it a little bit. If it
Oh,
keeps-
yeah.
Yeah. This is Commissioner Smith, so, I'm sorry for, you mind repeating your name?
Oh, Tom King.
Oh, yeah, so Mr. King had pointed out two good examples, like of websites that the village could refer to as like examples, like Glen Ellen was one I heard, as a former Oak Park resident, I know they have like a really informative site as well. And as long, other, that can be like a start, so we wouldn't necessarily, as a village, have to recreate the wheel. Could refer to some of those sources. And definitely, perhaps, the village can consider getting some type of like consultation or guidance on kind of what to do, what's out there. As far as funding resources for the village as well as for residents. And then just, even just starting off with a website and some inventory updates, I'm sure would be helpful. So thank you for, Robert, for at least, getting these bullet points started.
Commissioner
Another
Moore.
question, for, like, I live on Maple Avenue, the house was built in the late thirties, so like, we did the Maple Avenue improvement project a few years ago, and I'm gonna assume that when they dug the street up down to the sub-base, that they verified all the lines. I have had my water tested and it's come up fine, so I wasn't concerned about any potential lead contamination, but
On that particular project, I don't believe we specifically looked and checked for every service. If we crossed a service, we would have to check it. If it's a lead, we would have to replace it.
yeah, because I know they dug up, I know they put the new standpipe in where the shut-off valve is.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
they get all the way down, it was a sewer separation project.
It is, but water main wasn't a part of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Commissioner Leishman.
If we do educate the public about like how to perform these tests themselves, is there a preferred way for them to pass that information to village staff so that the inventory is updated if they do get a hit?
We can come up with something, of course, yeah.
I just didn't know what the current process was.
Mr. King has a question.
Is it okay if I speak? 'Cause I'm
Yeah, go ahead.
Couple things, so I was curious when we had a bathroom put in our basement around 2015, 2016 timeframe, and we did, we pulled a permit and everything. Plumbing inspector came out to our home, but he did not check for a lead service line. Is that a new policy that we have?
Yeah, everything is kind of evolves
Okay.
over the years.
And the other thing I was gonna suggest is, could a resident call Public Works and say, hey, can you come out to my house and look at my lead service line and tell me if it, or look at my service line and tell me if it is indeed lead? Is that?
Absolutely. Anyone can call the village and schedule an inspection, and I'm pretty sure it's actually free with a plumbing inspector.
So that would be, in my opinion, that would be the best way to tell for sure if you do have a lead service pipe or not, right?
And add it to the website for, I guess, information.
Is there a cost to do that?
I believe it's free right now, but I could be wrong. I have to double check.
And is George Bennis still our plumbing inspector?
He is.
Okay.
But our meter technician could do it as well.
Who?
Water meter technician.
Okay. And I really did this, I'm digressing a bit, but I had my meter replaced, and I'm completely impressed with the guy that did it.
Dan?
I think it was, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, he very efficient and just like that, yeah, very polite, and very knowledgeable. Commissioner Leishman?
So I seem to remember when we were talking about this last time, a few months ago, there was some discussion of like a conversation that we were having with the communication specialist about like putting this stuff on the website. Did that not go anywhere?
There was a communication with the assistant village manager, Suzanne McVeigh, and they said that they would be working on it, but I haven't seen any, and that was a few months ago now. So,
Well, I mean, so Public Works is gonna have to come up with a plan of attack so they can get the information all together and then work with the PR person.
yeah.
Start getting the info.
I feel like when we were talking about this though, it wasn't even so much like, you know, the Villa Park plan as it was, you know, just sharing this information that we do already know about like how to test these things at home and, you
Right.
know,
Giving the website.
that doesn't really require a battle plan, I don't think.
Well, but I mean, if the water meter person can come out and take a look, that's the simplest. If people are willing to let them in the house. If they're not, then they can do the vial option, the
Or they-
testing.
Or they can, if the website has, like
Yeah.
pictures of what a lead service pipe looks like.
Yes.
This is Commissioner Smith. Is what's the way, I guess, for next steps to have a timeline to get this done? Like, what's the next process to actually move it like into action, and so that it's actually
So,
done?
what I could do is I could clean up some of these recommendations, and, I could present them I could present them at a village board meeting or ask for time to make a presentation at a village board meeting.
Is that
Just the fact of doing that would, since it's televised, would create would there be a public education opportunity when doing that. And staff may want to participate, they may want to do this could be a committee of the whole presentation to the village board. Commissioner Leishman.
I mean, I think we need to do public awareness of this, but like, I think we need there to be a plan before we start talking about it on televised meetings. Like, I don't want to throw this word around lightly, but I don't think we want staff to have to deal with a panic.
Yeah, I was thinking, this is
Right.
Commissioner Smith working first maybe with the Public Works Department and then coming up with a plan and some action items, and then to your point, that way we're not having you guys be having, 20,000 calls?
I think there's something about 8,000 service
Coming
lines.
in,
so-
yeah, I mean, just to have them more, but I was just saying, because we have been talking about this since, April was when I think I joined.
Yeah.
Like, what would be the next step to actually have like the website updated, inventory to see funding, but like any other project, having timeline, milestones, this is our plan of action to how to get this done. And part of that would be when we would go before the board to present it to, you know. So
Commissioner-
is that something we're ready to, like, I guess who does that? That's what the part I don't understand.
This is Commissioner Wagner, I agree with what Commissioner Leishman said. I certainly wouldn't want to create a, village residents seeing it and then they start panicking about their water lines and it's a lot of calls to the village hall. And so maybe what the next step is to see if I could have a meeting with either the manager or assistant manager to say, hey, we had a resident Tom King come to us. I can tell you that I had a conversation with another village resident who lives on Astor Street, and they were kind of not happy with maybe with the village's response or education on the issue as well. So, maybe
I think it would be useful if you talk to the village manager that you involve the Director of Public Works, Michael Guerrera. I mean, he's the one in charge of,
right.
so
Right.
I think he could offer a lot as far as developing that plan of attack.
Okay.
So
Yep.
I would talk to both of them.
Absolutely, yeah. So if it's the consensus of the commission, I'll take a next step to arrange a meeting to see, okay, how can we assist, how can we better educate the public, and how can we take next steps to look at grant funding or,
Providing information, basic information,
basic information.
if a
'Cause-
family or a resident wants to be proactive.
Right, right. So does this,
So one of the things that is kind of bothering me just a little bit is that because of the amount of water that what you were gonna draw into your house, you did have to, and the village's current code is 1 inch as opposed to 3/4. So the current code is 1 inch. Does it have to be 1 inch?
Meaning mandatory upgrade? No, absolutely.
Okay,
As you improve your property, for instance, if you build an addition, it is governed by a fixture count. I don't know how to do a fixture count. I
Okay.
have no idea. But typically, any new construction, new house, it's 1.5 inches minimum. Not minimum, it's a standard right now, not even 1 inch. 1 inch is, yes, absolute minimum.
okay.
1 inch is the village code minimum.
Right, but you have 3/4 inch. Interesting.
Well,
There
and
is
he
plenty
couldn't
And you
of-
took
connect
on
his
the
1
burden
inch.
of that cost.
Right, he couldn't connect his 1 inch to the village's 3/4 inch.
Right, so he had to take on the cost
Yeah.
of that additional $4,000.
Yes.
That's an interesting one.
That just doesn't seem right. Well, yeah, we've
Yeah.
already been down that road, so.
Been down that road.
But people need to be aware of what they're getting into.
We could have obtained a variance to allow the 3/4 inch connection to a 1 inch, I think, if we really tried, but I'm an engineer and I would just want to see the whole thing 1 inch. It just doesn't make sense to have a 3/4 inch line feeding a 1 inch line.
Right, right.
Is that your alma mater?
Yes.
so I'm happy to set up a meeting, as soon as possible. As you said, involving Public Works Director Michael Guerra, village manager, assistant village manager, just to say, hey, these are our concerns. Resident Tom King came to the commission, we've been talking about this, we think there's a lot of area for improvement. And, I understand the issue with staffing, and you can only do so much, but I think this issue is, it's like almost like a sleeping giant. It's like, in a way, there's a lot of unknowns, and if we can help find out if, winnow down to determine how many lead service lines there are, I think we'll be doing a service, so.
So when you sell your home, you're not, that is not one of those things,
It is,
okay?
we do an, it's called INI, inflow and infiltration inspection.
Okay,
And part of it is checking for the water service, if it's lead or copper. Or, and very rare, it's galvanized, but
and
there
when,
is some.
when was that implemented, do you know?
Oh, we had it for many, many years.
Okay.
So let me make sure I understand, this is Commissioner Wagner. If you identify when you're selling your property that you have a lead service line, you're obligated to, but if you have I&I issues, you have to resolve those.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
That's like a EPA violation. You can't introduce stormwater into your sanitary.
right. Okay, I'm sorry.
Sorry, just wanted to also bring up that the Illinois General Assembly passed a law in 2021 on this regard. So all lead and galvanized water service lines in the state of Illinois must be replaced by 2042. So this is a sleeping giant. Bob is absolutely right. A complete material inventory of potable water service lines must be submitted to the EPA by April 30th, 2024. And I talked to Director Guerra previously, and he said he did this. Also, municipalities must develop and implement plans to identify and remove lead service lines. Give owners and occupants notifications about lead service lines serving their homes or buildings that may release lead into drinking water, and prohibit partial lead service line replacements. So in other words, the segment from the water main to the B box is the village-owned segment, and the segment from the B box to the water meter is the resident-owned segment. The state is saying if the resident just wants to replace the lead part that's theirs, the B box to the water main, and the village or the municipality-owned segment is also lead, they can't just replace their part, everything has to be replaced at once.
Do you have that statute number?
Yes, Public Act 102-0613.
613, okay.
Tom, you are absolutely correct. If they're replacing, converting to copper, we then go and replace our portion. But when we are replacing our portion, we can't make them to replace their portion, residents, if it makes sense. We give them a notice, we recommend, it's a significant cost, not a lot of people can afford it. But yes, when the resident replaces their portion, then we right away replace the village-owned portion.
If it's lead.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think I'll be setting up a meeting then with village staff and report back at our October meeting. Any other discussion on this item? Okay. Tom, thanks for coming, we appreciate it, and we'll keep you in the loop as well.
Okay.
Let you know what's happening.
Yeah, he wasn't kicking you out, but he
No.
was.
No, you're welcome to stay.
But,
Or I've been through this experience, so I'm happy to share my experience with the community to help others replace it. I think this, Commissioner Wagner is correct. This is a sleeping giant, and I believe we need to take action as a community as a whole to address it. So thank you for.
Okay,
Well,
well, thank you for
Thank
taking
you
the
for
time to
joining.
come, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
And thank you for your service on other commissions as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna move on to the next item on our agenda, report of the Bike, Pedestrian, and Transit Subcommittee. Commissioner Leishman, you have the floor.
Thank you. So at tonight's meeting, a good chunk of our time was spent on further discussion of the goals that we're working on for the coming years. Specifically, we were talking about first draft goal, which is basically relating to how we will be monitoring village capital improvement projects and communicating with staff and stuff like that. Talked about that for about half the meeting, and then we moved on. We are discussing a potential recommendation regarding parking mandates around the Villa Avenue and Ardmore Avenue business districts, because there was a committee of the whole meeting over the summer that basically demonstrated that we've got way more parking there than we actually need. And so the subcommittee is currently considering recommending that some of that parking should be replaced with bicycle parking, since those areas are so close to the Prairie Path. If we do sign off on a recommendation, we will of course bring that before the ECC for final approval before we share it with whoever. And yeah, last thing that we talked about was a couple community outreach events that we've got coming up in October, specifically Brewfest on the 5th, that we'll be doing our usual bike valet. So if you're attending Brewfest this year, feel free to ride your bicycles over there. I'll babysit it for you. We're going to be helping with North School's Bike Walk to School Day Fall Edition 2024 on the 8th. And then we plan to attend Halloween Happenings on the 18th, which I think we're also going to be discussing as the ECC later this evening. And that's about all we talked about.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'm gonna move on to item 5B, update on community research on climate and urban science program. And I'm gonna start it off, and then I'm gonna hand it off to Commissioner Hill to talk about it. So I did participate in a site visit from two folks from Argonne Lab. Director Guerra was, and Deputy Director Rich Salerno were part of it. And they looked at two sites. One is the site just west of the water tower above the reservoir, and it's kind of open and elevated. They liked that site. And then we went down to where Cornell dead ends right off of Reardon, and that's also a reservoir. It's a fenced-in area, which they like, security, and there were some open areas there. And then we went to the library, and we went up to the penthouse. And the folks from Argonne really liked that area because it was elevated, it was secure, and so I'm going to turn it over to Commissioner Hill to tell us about what happened after that.
So I received the agreement from Argonne and talked to the library board. They were very enthusiastic. Then I said, you want me to bring this to the attorney? So they said yes. So the attorney got his chance, his turn to weigh in on the agreement, and is now at Argonne for their comeback. And I was emailed and told that thank you so much, but don't expect it back too soon because this kind of thing takes a little while for them to return. So that's where we're at. We're waiting for Argonne to get back to us.
So I think we've carried this as far as we can go, and
Yeah.
I'll probably take this off the agenda. But thanks to village staff and thanks to the library and there was like kind of an educational component, because there
Yeah.
could be some sort of display or information about, we're not gonna, obviously you don't wanna take folks up to the penthouse to look at the,
But
this crocus station.
It would be cool to offer an educational, and they mentioned that they could provide information about what the weather station, the kind of data it collects, and what they can learn from it, so it's a good opportunity.
I wonder if
Okay.
there's a way to have a live feed of what it's recording, like somewhere in the library,
Yeah.
just a little screen somewhere with all the data as
Yeah.
it's happening.
I would be very surprised if the Crocus monitors do not have a camera on them
Probably.
Yeah.
that is streaming somewhere.
Well, I didn't mean just a camera, but the data and everything, like wind
Yeah.
speed and whatever else.
Well, you, in the Public Works will have access to that data, which is pretty awesome, so maybe somehow they can share that too, I don't know. I don't know how it all works, but
I
pretty
think that was
exciting.
the
But you'll learn.
plus for the village, that they would have more detailed weather data.
Yeah.
What is there a significant difference between on the ground and up that high?
For them it was. I-
Yes.
I didn't ask the question why, but they thought it would be better having it somewhat above the tree line. And I don't know how, I can't remember the height of the mast for the thing, but it was
It was several, was it about 7 to 8 feet? I
7 to 8
think?
feet, I think so.
Something like that.
Yeah, but there's a section of the roof on the library that's kind of above the tree line, and they like that, so.
Unobstructed. And they won't be going into the roof at all. They'll be putting like weights on it, so it doesn't move. And I did ask, you do realize that we've had a couple tornadoes in town, right? So, they said, oh yeah. So, and the last one just kind of turned, yeah, made a turn down Kenilworth, so,
It would be very interesting data to record.
yes.
Oh, yeah.
This is Commissioner Smith. So does the public have access to like the data in real time? Like, can you
I
sign on the site?
don't-
I don't know, because you can
Well, what-
install other lesser
Yeah.
sites. I think you can, I think
Yeah.
there is an opportunity.
Was there something in the agreement
I can't
regarding
remember.
data sharing?
Data share?
I mean, it's publicly funded research. The data is going to be available eventually.
Right.
Um,
I can't remember.
I don't know whether it's going to be streaming somewhere or not.
Yeah, because I think the public would be far more interested in it live, real time.
To see all the changes, especially when there's
Yeah.
different.
Especially when we're in the
Weather,
tornado
yeah.
shelter at the library.
Yeah, right?
Or during the day with the traffic, what's the impact?
Oh, yeah. That's right, because it's pollution data too, right? Yeah.
So anyway, if we get further, I will let you know.
Okay, great. Okay, I'm gonna move on to item 5C, community outreach communication, autumn jubilee, which is Saturday, October 12th, and Halloween happenings, Friday, October 18th. So I did communicate with the Community Focus on Unifying Neighbors Commission and informed them that we would like to have a space, for autumn jubilee. And I didn't have a chance to see if they've worked out a site plan, but it's my understanding that we will have a space there. The other one is Halloween happenings, and we've participated for the last 2 years. That's Friday, October 18th at Iowa Community Center. And it's usually pretty intensive the first hour, and then after that, there's nothing. So, if the commission is, if folks would like to participate, I was contacted by Parks and Rec, as was Bike, Pedestrian, and Transit, and asking if we would like to have a space there again, a table. And I'm happy to be on hand if anyone else would like to participate as well. And it's kind of a fun event. I mean,
Halloween happenings.
watching the kids, I remember, for some reason, the kid was dressed up as from Doctor Who, a Dalek.
Oh, yeah. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
that was so cool. I mean, I thought his dad did a spectacular job with that.
So is this an evening event?
It's an
or-
evening event,
Okay.
yeah, I think it starts at
5.
5 o'clock, okay.
5 to 7 p.m. on the Friday.
I might be able to help with
Yeah,
that
me-
one.
Me too.
I can't do the 12th because I'll be at the fire department's having their open house on that morning, that day.
Okay.
Morning, I think. Or is it down late? I can't remember.
Okay, so I think there's a consensus then. I'll go ahead and tell Parks and Rec that we will be participating in Halloween happenings as well.
Yes.
Commissioner Leishman.
So BBT also expressed interest in this. Do we want a joint table or do we want 2 separate tables?
Oh, I think a joint table.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
I was just one person, but
I don't know, I mean, I'm just kidding.
Other thing, there's a $20 cost. I assume that we get that waived?
They waive it,
Okay.
yeah.
Commissioner Smith, will there be pretzel necklaces?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Will there be pretzel necklaces? No. There might be candy.
There will be candy.
We
It would be
discussed
so
pretzel
funny.
necklaces there.
Otherwise you'll-
yeah, he told us.
We're gonna have
yes.
some angry children.
Only if you bring some.
Bring your own pretzel necklace.
Okay, I'm gonna move on to item
So
five
wait,
D.
are we gonna, are our
Sorry.
posts supposed to be under C? Posts for their, for our, what we're doing, what we're giving to Riley?
Oh,
Social
social
media.
media?
Yeah. Should that be under C?
Sure. Go ahead, Commissioner Leishman.
Did you see my post, the last one get posted?
I don't know.
Someone sent it. I just don't remember if I saw it. I don't remember.
I did receive some communication from Riley this week. Sorry, I had forgot that we needed to discuss this tonight. She is a bit frustrated by having a bunch of us send her emails, so she wants to instead just have one point of contact on the commission. That will be the only email address that she has to pay attention to. So if
Fair enough.
people are all right with it, I'm fine taking on that role. I'm not going to make all the posts, but I can be the.
Well, I tried that. Okay.
In my communications with her, which have been confusing, she told me the same thing. She would
Yeah.
like to have one person sending her whatever we have.
Yeah.
And then she'll work on it, and I get it. I get it.
Yeah, I think that's a reasonable request.
All right, so we can send you the social media posts.
Yes.
Okay.
And I will pass things along to her, and she also requested some, a second set of eyes for like fact checking things before they get passed on to her. So I will do that as well.
I had started to try to do that with you.
Yes. Yeah.
Because I always think a second pair of eyes is a good thing.
It ran, again, this was my situation, it ran into an issue with the plastic bag. And turns out that she was gonna contact the District 45 contact because some of the schools don't want public coming into the building, even to drop off bags. So that whole, I said, just wait, you do what you need to do. It's better that way, that we honor what they want. And the initial contacts were made to the sponsors of the environmental groups. And they should have been, it should have gone further than that. It shouldn't have been just left up to those people. It should have been, I guess I should have verified that the principal knew, because in the one building, for sure, we don't want the public coming in to drop off bags. So I think that's what she's referring to.
Yeah, I think so too.
So put a container outside.
I'm not
Whatever.
gonna, yeah, it's not up to us. She also said, this was from her, going forward, please reach out to your ECC staff liaison first to follow the process so they're aware and they can loop me in as needed. I believe that is Director of Public Works. Not sure what looping in they need to do, but if you take that role, then,
Yeah.
and she's okay with that, then, okay.
I also shared an email from Riley about the deadline for the next edition of Village Matters.
What is it
I
cut
think it
out?
was near the end of October.
25th.
What is it?
I think October 25th.
I think you're correct, yeah. So the main thing that I was gonna submit to Riley was about the Green Champion Award. Since we start promoting nominations for Green Champion Award in January.
Okay.
I will mention that I was responsible for World Rivers Day, and I didn't submit anything, but I thought to myself, well, I'm not gonna worry about it because every day is World Rivers Day in my book. So I will be
Nice
sending-
justification.
Yeah. I will send you something that you can forward, and I'll make.
Okay.
Okay, and
Is-
I apologize, you sent me an email, Ellen, about this very topic, and one of it had to do with the article for the international
Right.
paper,
Yeah,
and I had talked to Jax West, who's the staff person for Diane Blair Sherlock, and Diane has the photo, did she?
I have the photo.
Oh, you have the photo,
Yeah,
okay,
I
good.
do. But when I talked to Riley about that, he said, she said, well, do you, my question was, what is the purpose? Because originally, I went to find out about this shortage of cardboard, which there is not. So, I wasn't sure then what the article was going to accomplish. It builds up International Paper as a sustainable company. Is that what we want to do?
I think it's a good, because it has members of the commission on hand. It has a local elected official. I mean, I don't see any harm. I don't think we have to vet that article through Riley necessarily.
She said she would take care of getting it to, it was my question more, whether this is something, I don't want it to be an ad for International Paper. I'm impressed with what they do, but I'm not sure that's, okay, we do have in there that we attended, that there were village people that attended. That's in the article. I sent you the article, I think, yeah.
I think, yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, yeah, and I have the picture, and it doesn't have to be dated. It doesn't have to say, it can say recent, and recent is up to you to decide how recent.
My thought is I would submit the article. I mean, very frequently, the Villa Park Review is, we're helping them because they want community content. So I don't see any harm in submitting the article to them directly, Commissioner.
Commissioner Smith, and I don't know if I'm changing, I just have a question regarding, so the US EPA came out with the climate change indicators in the United States, the 5th edition, and it just lists so, I think it's interesting, and anybody who's kind of monitoring climate change, is this kind of broad information like that something that we would post on the website, or does it have to be more village-centric and not like just general information? Like, it's a whole report that they have, and it breaks it down. It has like even action items that people can do.
I think it could be appropriate.
I don't think it's bad to offer a broad It's information, it's a ballot source.
Like you
And
said,
it's
the
just it's like a
action
link of the
steps
report and, yeah.
Yeah,
So then that means I would send it to
yes,
my neighbor here and,
yeah.
And I think that we could also be in danger of overloading Riley.
oh, true.
Yeah.
So that's why I was
And I
asking,
think that
so,
may be part of what she's maybe reacting to. She's getting
Yeah.
overloaded.
We might
'cause
wanna reserve it.
She doesn't just post our stuff, she does a lot, she wears a lot of hats.
reserve it for more village-centric
Yeah.
information, okay.
Well, didn't we as a committee decide on once a week originally?
I think it was 2 a month or something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Every
maybe
other week.
every other week, yeah.
But once a month is probably fine.
The goal was to stay in the public eye, but we don't want to overwhelm anybody. So,
So it's getting overwhelming to do a LinkedIn post or, I guess, on social media?
I think the thing that was frustrating her was that she was having receiving instructions from a lot of different people saying different things.
So she
I
asked.
think funneling our requests through one person will help quiet some of that noise. I'm sorry. The post that you were talking about doing, were you thinking of making that a social media post or an article in Village Matters?
Thinking just like a post on, like a social media, 'cause
Just a
it's just
link.
like a link,
Okay.
and then they can
Yeah.
click on the report if anyone's interested in, because this comes out, it's the 5th edition, and there's kind of interesting to go back to what was on the first, and you can see the changes over the decades.
Is it pretty technical?
No, this is
Okay.
meant for to communicate to just the general public and to communities.
Okay.
It does have a community focus on it.
Yeah, I think that's
And it
appropriate.
has broad themes and just greenhouse gas, heat on the rise, extreme events, water resources at risk, changing season, ocean impacts, rising seas. And this really impacts us, Alaska,
Yeah.
their warming climate.
No, I think that's I think that's a great idea for a post.
So she
I could even suggest a date for you of the 24th of October,
Is that
which-
Earth Day?
which is International Day of Climate Action.
Oh, climate. So should I send this to you now?
and maybe put it in that context.
Just send me an email with a little with the link that you're thinking of, as well as maybe a sentence saying like of what you want in the post, saying like
Okay.
Happy International Day of Climate Action. Here's some things that you can do to help, or whatever.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So October's is done, we're good.
So going forward, everything will go to Commissioner Leishman, and he'll be the contact with the communication specialist, not the public information officer.
Yep.
Okay. Anything else on this topic we need to discuss? Okay. All right, I'm gonna move on to the next item, discussion of the. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, before we move on, you were talking about both you and Commissioner Draconis were talking about drafting articles for Village Matters. You were talking about the Green Champion Award.
Right, so I have a post that I believe I posted last year,
Okay.
which I'll make some appropriate changes to dates, and I'm gonna submit that to Riley. It's a call for nominations
Okay.
for the Green Champion Award. It discusses the Green Champion Award, and it just asks people to nominate a business, a person, an organization in
Okay.
town.
So you're going to submit that directly to her.
I'm gonna submit that, yeah, since
Okay.
she sent me
That's fine.
with the deadline, so,
That's fine.
yeah. And she did the post about pumpkin smash, which we're gonna have to talk about that, and about the cooking oil collection.
Commissioner Draconis, if you're drafting something, maybe you want to send that through Bob as well. That way he is sending all of the Village Matters articles to Riley.
What am I sending it?
You were talking about writing an article about,
It's written.
I'm sorry, I didn't know that.
But I don't know that we want, okay.
No, that would, we were talking about that article for the Villa Park Review.
Yeah.
Yeah,
just-
for
Oh,
newspaper.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
there's too many publications in
Right.
this town.
So do we want to include in the October 25th deadline, the Christmas tree lights? Collecting, not,
That's a good one, Christmas tree lights,
yeah,
yeah.
not,
What is
No.
the coverage of this?
Oh, it's January to March, so it'd be kind of,
oh, we're late, okay.
yeah.
Sorry to add to the confusion, I was just trying to understand what was going on.
Okay, anything else on that we want to talk about with regards to that item? Okay, I'm gonna move on to item 5D. Or, discussion of the date for Pumpkin Smash. And I did receive an email from Scarce, and they were suggesting some communities are doing it on Saturday, November 2nd, or some are doing it on Saturday, November 9th. So I thought, we had a discussion about this before, and I thought I should bring it back. To me, actually, November 2nd makes more sense, because November 9th, those pumpkins are getting pretty,
Soupy.
they're breaking down pretty fast, or they're been eaten by squirrels, or, I think we'd collect more pumpkins, by doing it on the 2nd. So, just want to hear the commission's thoughts on that. Because I'm gonna have to contact, LRS to say, hey, please arrange for
Yeah.
and I did make contact again with the manager at Jewel, and I think by that time, anything that they have left over is gonna be thrown away. Commissioner Leishman.
I'm surprised to hear Scarce saying that there are multiple dates going on, because I thought when we discussed this at the last meeting, we had settled on the 9th because that's when all of the other events were,
Right,
even though we thought the 2nd made more sense.
Yep.
right.
But now we're hearing from Scarce that there are some scheduled on the 2nd.
Yes, and I was
They're not.
surprised to see that as well. And it was an email from Bev, I can't remember what Bev's last name is, but Bev is Kay McKean's daughter, I believe.
She didn't, oh,
It said something like managing director or something like that.
Yeah, I was surprised to get it as well, because I thought, okay, we're gonna do it on November 9th. But now it looks like other communities wanna do it on November 2nd, which actually makes more sense to me. Commissioner Leachman.
Has the village already done any form of communication conveying what the date is?
Yeah, there was, I mean, there's a post in Village Manners, but
Then I would say we stick with the 9th, if we've already communicated that date to people.
and Village Manners is one that sticks around longer. It's not like it was a quick social media post.
no, Village Manners, so Village Manners used to go out, like the library sends out the resource
Uh-huh.
to every household. Now it's just electronic.
But still, it's more informative. It's the kind of thing people might save
Right,
and refer
right.
back to. So I see your point. And we can see how it goes, and then in the future we'll know is sooner better than later. Maybe we should pressure Scarce to collect data on that. Like,
Yeah, they do collect data. Commissioner Maury.
The question I had was, if I'm not mistaken, the 2nd would fall within the free yard waste pickup? where most people could dispose of their pumpkins if they were getting nasty. They could throw it in the yard waste. But
Yeah, I think so. I think that's right.
otherwise, if their pumpkins are in relatively good shape and they want to participate in the pumpkin smash, they could save them for the night. And that could be added into the village matters. But I'm not sure, what are the dates, do you know yet? It usually it's in the village's website when free yard waste pickup starts, but I'm not sure if it's been posted yet.
I think we're gonna go with the 9th.
Okay, I think, yeah. I think Commissioner Leachman's made a good point. We publicize the 9th. We'll just stick with the 9th.
We'll have a good time whether we get
Yeah.
fewer pumpkins.
fun.
I don't know if you.
We'll get a
will.
lot more wet
I think
pumpkins.
the
Yeah, we'll have a lot of
keep 'em up
goopy pumpkins.
As long as they can.
Okay.
In buckets of pumpkins.
It's also the Saturday after election day, so we can relieve some stress
Yeah.
by smashing pumpkins.
Yeah, I usually have
And planes.
I usually have a Trumpkin.
The band.
Not trying to be political, just telling you what I have.
It's topical.
Yeah. I have a wig and I have a red tie. It wears. Okay, so we're gonna stick with the 9th then. Okay. All right, I'm gonna move on to item 5E, our 2025 goal setting session. And so we kind of made a connection between our budget request and our goal setting, and I'm not sure that we necessarily have to do that. I mean, for us to, this evening, to identify specific things we're going to do and to assign, I mean, I kind of know what we spent, this year, the items that we spent on. I can factor in some increases in it. But I don't think that we necessarily need to finalize our goal-setting session this evening. I mean, if we want to extend it into October or November, we can. I mean, it's not going to, I'm still gonna submit a budget tomorrow by 1 o'clock. And it doesn't have to be, I'm gonna budget for this, the Green Champion plaque, for the tree, for the, all the other things that we do. So, I can quantify that dollar amount. And I can build in, I can ask for an increase. So, we don't have to get down to specifics this evening. So, it's not gonna hamper me from submitting a budget tomorrow. That being said, I recognize some of the discussion we had that we do a lot of things, but maybe it's not necessarily focused. I did make some suggestions, my thoughts about, emphasizing the need for water and the, water testing and those issues. I don't know if we want to approach this using the SMART goals framework. My thought was, and we kind of discussed this a little bit, given the fact that the Bike Pedestrian Transit Subcommittee has been, I think, a success, because it has kind of championed those issues, that creating a subcommittee, and I never got resolution as to whether, non-commissioners could be part of it. Certainly residents could attend if they have a specific interest. But I think that creating, for example, a subcommittee on an issue like sustainable landscaping, gardening. You know, I think that the model of the bike pedestrian subcommittee has been a good one. And I think that would be a good approach, in my estimation, for tackling one or more issues. Now, I don't know if we want to, I mean, creating multiple subcommittees would require people power, which we don't necessarily have. So my thought would be, at least for that particular issue, I would like to see us, you know, maybe embark on trying to create a subcommittee. We could, for that particular issue. I've sent some emails to Mark Paulson, and I haven't really gotten any response. So I don't know where he's at with that particular issue. He is very, involved in that. But I would just like to hear other thoughts about how to proceed in terms of our goal setting.
Well, I know one of the points is to develop a plan to become more evident in the community. What's our hope to bring attention to our efforts? Part of the reason why I'm here is to.
So I'm going to stop you, Ivan. If you want to just identify yourself,
Oh,
just
sorry.
say Ivan Figueroa.
Ivan Figueroa speaking. Part of the reason why I became part of this committee was to engage the youth more, and I think that with everything that we plan on doing, especially the subcommittee that you guys are speaking about, I think that this could be a good opportunity to engage with like youth, because I feel like youth is all about sustainability and how do we become more sustainable in our everyday households and just everyday tasks, and kind of to not related, but then also for us in general, I know we have so many events going on and so many things that we need to promote or educate people on. And I think, because I don't think we don't have an Instagram account strictly dedicated to us as a committee. We do have a page dedicated to the entire village, and I do see posts of us being uploaded there, but they all just get kind of washed away with everything else that we do. And most of the things that we do promote on the main Instagram account is things that seem important and are important. And so I think also we need to make an Instagram account or something social media related to strictly promote our stuff, because I think that's what's going to bring more awareness to everything that you guys want to bring awareness to. Because, for example, the whole lead situation that we were talking about earlier, yes, we can put it on a website, yes, we could put it on the main Instagram account, but that's not really going to bring attention because it'll just get flushed out like everything else does usually. And so I think having strictly an account for us could be useful for anything that we want to generally promote for our committee. So yeah.
So this is Commissioner Wagner. So we've actually discussed that with the prior communication specialist and with Suzanne McVeigh to a certain extent. The Community Focus on Unifying Neighbors does have their own social media accounts.
That's a different committee from the ECC.
Yeah, a different committee from us. The argument against us having one is that because of the number of people that will, that see a post by the village, the number of people that follow it is much greater than anything that we could create or garner as a commission. And then there's the whole issue of, even if we had our own, let's say, Instagram, Facebook account, we still have to have a village person as a co-administrator, because they'd have to monitor what we post. We wouldn't be allowed to just do it on our own. So that would create another task for a village staff member.
So they monitor the focus on unifying
What's that?
do they monitor the focus on unifying neighbors?
Yes,
Social media?
Riley is a co-administrator.
Okay.
if that's kind of like the issue that we're running into, then I think because part of like the environmental club, we do have like our own publicist who like focuses on like promoting everything, and so we could bring them along into this like Instagram thing and have them directly like cooperate with whoever like needs to cooperate, because like our publicists, like they're good at like promoting stuff. They make flyers, they promote Instagram accounts, like her specifically, she has made Instagram accounts, very niche Instagram accounts for our school clubs. And when you think about like a school club, like sometimes it's like hard to engage a lot of people, but she just has her way, and her way, it's like it makes you want to like do what she does. You know what I mean? So I think basically. And so if that's really the problem that we're running into, I think we could bring that person on to here, like, to discuss this like further.
This Commissioner,
Commissioner
Commissioner
Smith.
Smith, so I like the idea, especially trying to appeal to younger people using some different avenues, and to me, it's reminiscent of having like an influencer.
It's exactly what he's saying,
Right,
yeah.
use someone that knows how to, get the
Engage.
views and engagement up, and especially to the target demographic that we're after. Just
It would be appealing to a younger person to participate as the publicist.
So,
Yeah.
question for Commissioner Figueroa. So, are you talking about the Students for a Better Environment? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, a student who is part of my environmental club at Willapa. She is like our publicist that does all like the promotional stuff and for like events and just engaging people at school. And so she could take that and like switch it around for like the whole village if she would be interested in doing it.
This is Commissioner Smith. The only kind of downside to that is when she maybe graduates, goes off to her next phase of life, then we would have to have someone else to continue that. That's just the only. I mean, it's a good idea, but that would be something to think about. Unless if we just tried to pilot it and see how it goes for.
Or no going in, that we have to structure it in a way that
Yes.
there's a passing of
A
the torch.
succession
Yeah,
plan,
a succession plan, thank you.
We had your suggestion of 3 different categories. I'd like to start there with those 3 categories. And I think this is a goal to put on this sheet, to figure out how we are going to get the word out and then list more help. Environmentally, not just help on our commission, but environmentally.
When I was looking at the goals, the list of things for strategic planning, I picked up what you indicated, and I went, wait a minute, just develop a plan to become more evident in the community, be a presence in the community. I picked up on that. I'm like, yes, that's something we need to do. And Instagram is used by the younger crowd. So that's where I base a number of my objectives, was on that particular goal, so to speak. And then I also picked up just the advocacy for environmental and sustainability causes, that whole advocacy effort. And one of the advocacy efforts, I found that Elmhurst has a Start in Your Yard initiative on their website through Cool Cities, their Cool Cities Coalition in their community. And it outlines native plants in the yard, all of that. So here's my objectives.
Can you send that to me? Do you have it?
Yes, I can email everybody that.
Yep.
So. it's like-
So are you proposing that these are the goals for?
No, just from me.
That's just her input.
That's my input, and then somebody's got to meld it all together. Otherwise, and we don't have the time to sit and, somebody's got to compile them all, and then we can weigh in on it.
That sounds like a good approach. The Cool Cities group is like a something outside of the the city government, they're
Yeah.
just so your suggestion is that we each do goals,
Yeah,
maybe three,
possibly three.
and then we could compile them, and then we could say, okay.
Yay or nay, or
And I got a feeling that a lot of them will be the same,
could be,
yeah.
yep. I mean, the bike and pedestrian, you've got your own set of goals and objectives that you're gonna be putting in, that we're gonna have to coalesce into the whole thing, so we might as well just, somebody's gotta compile it,
Okay.
right?
Yeah, as chair of that subcommittee, I'm gonna cop out and say that that's my contribution to.
I didn't hear what you said.
As chair of the Bike Pedestrian Transit Subcommittee, I'm going to cop out and say that those goals are going to be my contributions to
Exactly.
these goals.
Exactly.
Mine too, no, I'm just kidding.
Commissioner Smith, I think I'm just gonna go kind of some of the stuff, because there are already so many good ideas on here.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really have anything additional to add, because I don't want to overwhelm our list just to add. I don't really feel passionate about it just to add it, you know.
I do think it would be valuable if all of the goals that we're generating are of some sort of uniform
Yeah, theme.
format.
Oh,
You know, like we don't necessarily have to use the SMART goal framework, but like I do think there is value in like making these goals specific.
Yeah.
Right.
Somehow the social media aspect, we've gotta address it and how to,
I think if we're like, look, if you wanna, I've been speaking right now, so like general like goals, like I would say engagement, advocacy, and education, and then from there we stem to like specifics, and then those specifics like are be compiled together. I think engagement, I don't think we talked about engagement, but I think engagement like follows
Right, yeah.
like above everything all, because if anything we do like advocacy related or educationally related or just bringing awareness to anything, we want people to be engaged to it, so that's like the umbrella to the entire everything else that we do.
Or is it, this is Commissioner Smith, so the 3 buckets to
Yeah.
kind of put it in, yeah. That's a good idea.
Okay, so I think that's a good way to proceed, just if everyone kind of, I would say 3, but if you feel like you need to have 4, and they, as Commissioner Leishman has said, it's specific, you know, it's like saying, I want world peace. Okay. So our next meeting is going to be, October 24th. So, so that I can compile them into some sort of document, I'm gonna say I'd like to have them by October 18th, so I could work on putting it together into a kind of a document that I could share with everyone. Okay, and then we can, at our October 24th meeting, we can work on kind of winning it down to which are the, you know, the key ones that we want to stay with. Okay, Commissioner Leishman.
Yeah, and I think once we see what goals everyone is putting forward, if there's some subcommittees that we might want to create, those will naturally jump off the page, I think.
Right. And I think, as I mentioned before, we don't have enough people to staff. Maybe one additional subcommittee might be workable, I don't know.
No.
So,
If we can get an answer, and if the subcommittee members don't have to be members of ECC, we might have a little easier
I'll renew my
time.
efforts to do that. Maybe when I have my meeting, it shouldn't be that hard to say
Yes or no?
yes or no.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah. Because if the answer is yes, it might be easier to get people to staff
Right,
the
exactly,
subcommittees.
yeah.
so no, yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
Yeah, I think there would be nothing wrong with two commission members meeting with
Together,
the
yeah.
person who's involved in the, and then the commission members can bring any suggestions back to the commission.
I think, don't you have to have 3 to form a committee?
You don't, if we want to form a committee, you don't have to form a committee. You could just have two commission members interested in the topic, gathering
A
input.
focus group.
Yeah,
There you
normally,
go.
So we don't even have to call it a subcommittee, we could just have focus groups that feed us
And
information.
I mean, the library's bylaws, there is a building committee, and there's only 2 members on that committee, because sometimes you have to get 2 trustees together to go over issues.
Yeah.
So you can have a committee of 2 to work with outside groups,
I wasn't sure.
yeah.
so does that mean you can't have a dialogue with yourself about?
I have dialogues with myself all the time.
I'm gonna FOIA that.
What are you saying
FOIA.
to yourself?
Freedom, yeah.
Okay,
No,
so
where are you from?
I think we said we're gonna set a deadline for everyone to submit their
The conversation.
their
she
goals
has
to
with
me
herself.
of the 18th, and then I'll
Yeah.
put them together and
Just
send them out to the
Yeah.
commission, okay? Okay, item 6, I'm gonna move on, public comments on non-agenda items, there's no public present any longer. Item 7, commissioner comments. Commissioner Leishman.
Yeah. I will steal Commissioner Greco's thunder this time, since I'm speaking first. Next week is I don't the Sierra Club. I think you said
Yes,
is putting it on.
Sierra
is,
Club.
is a National Week Without Driving, which is an initiative to try and encourage you to see what it's like to live without a car. And encourage your local representatives to do the same. For me, it's just known as a normal week. But,
There are times, like it rained last week one day,
Yeah.
and I did not take my bike to work.
yeah,
The dates are September 30th to October 6th.
yes. Thank you for throwing in the details. The only other thing I wanted to make sure everyone was aware of is that as of today, early voting has started. It is pretty limited in the locations that you can vote right now, but for most people in Villa Park, the closest location is going to be the Addison Township office. And it is open Monday through Friday, 8 to 4:30, and 9 to noon on Saturdays. From now until the 19th of October for early voting. On the 19th of October is when we have a full expansion of early voting in places like the library starts up. So yeah, check your registration and start voting. Vote early, vote often. And that's all I have.
Commissioner Smith.
Commissioner Smith doesn't have any additional comments this week.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Figueroa.
I don't have any comments
Okay.
here.
Commissioner Morey.
Commissioner Moore, I have a few. You had asked me to bring in a submission for the purchase of the gumballs for.
Right.
So I have that for you. I will be bringing the gumball machine. That is a purchase that my wife and I bought, and we bring it to DuPage Rail Safety Council events, and the thought was to bring it to our events. It's the coin function's been disabled, and it's an attention getter, and it will be at Halloween happenings. So that'll be the first time it'll be used. I did look back, and the most recent post in the village website was that free yard waste pickup began October 23rd in 2023. They haven't put the new dates, but if it was available in October, free yard waste was available on the 23rd of last year. It should be appropriate for people to consider throwing their pumpkins into the yard waste if they won't survive until the 9th. Also, as usual, I'll be collecting styrofoam for for anyone that brought styrofoam to meetings to take down to North Aurora. And lastly, I was wondering if we could consider redoing the agenda list so that the item 6, the public comments on non-agenda items, would follow item 3, which would mirror what has been done at the village board meetings. They have changed their agenda focus so that you let the public comment on agenda items and also the non-agenda items. Would be more.
We can certainly do that. I mean, if we had someone who wanted to speak on a non-agenda item, I think we just simply amend the agenda or let them speak if they wanted to, but I can certainly change that. Yeah.
Okay, and then that's all I got.
Okay.
Thank you.
Commissioner Draconis? Nothing? Commissioner Hill?
Well, just so you know, there was a how to raise chicken program at the library, chickens program at the library tonight. And we had about 12, 14 people attend. And there was a chicken standing on the table, perfectly still. So I think it was a success. So, and then we did I sent the link to our staff member who was in charge of the program so that the most current ordinance was going to be highlighted as well for the village. So there you go. Up to 12 chickens. You can have hens.
Who's chicken?
Hmm?
Who is the chicken's parents? Like the owner of the chicken?
Oh, I can't remember the name. I forgot my phone.
Oh, I was curious.
And I think we used to limit, we had like a pilot program, but I don't think we limit the number of people that can have backyard chickens.
I think it was recently expanded, but
I can't remember
I
what the
believe
expansion.
it's still limited, but
It's
I
still
could
limited?
be
Okay.
wrong.
Oh, so there might still be a village cap, it's just more, okay.
More chickens in your yard.
Are you not gonna tell about the death in your parking lot?
Oh, no. I don't want that. I'll tell you all after the meeting. That was so sad. Yeah, no,
Okay.
Is that it?
that's it.
Okay, Commissioner Greco?
No comments. Alan kindly talked for me.
Okay. Chairman comments, once again, October 18th. Specific, but I would say also be succinct. So that would be helpful to, in listing goals. That's really all for me. Village board, well, I'm gonna go with the village staff comments. Any comments from you?
No comments.
Okay. Okay, I'll entertain a motion then to adjourn.
So move.
Commissioner Hill, Commissioner Leishman, second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, we're adjourned.